cause of death has officially been released in the Madeline Soto case, and it doesn't look like Jen's getting charged with anything. We're going to talk about some recent updates in today's video. Hello Sofa Squad and welcome back to the sofa. Again, the sofa has turned into a bed, and the usual sofa place has turned into a generic bedroom, I guess you could say. But anyways, obviously I am not at home right now. I am visiting a friend, and we are going to continue on with our conversation, with our updates, with our discussion on the Madeline Soto case. There have been some, what I would say are heartbreaking updates in it all around in relation to Jen Soto, the cause of death, things of this nature. So that's what we're going to do. Now, trigger warning, if you are new or you're not following this, whatever, this is a very sensitive case. This is dealing with the victim. Her name is Madeline Soto. She had literally just turned 13 in this case, okay? Now, the original story was that her mother's boyfriend, Stephen Stearns, he is currently incarcerated, dropped her off at school, and then she never made it to school. When Jen, the mother, went to pick her up, she finds out she never came, whatever, and this entire thing begins to unfold. Now, what did unfold is some very strange behavior from both Jen and Stephen, and then we would, of course, find out, if you've been following this, that all the things Stefan was saying were lies, and he had actually allegedly taken the life of Madeline, disposed of her body, and it was soon thereafter discovered. Okay, so that's the 60-second overview. This video is not meant to be a deep dive into the details of that, but simply to go over some of these updates. The way we are going to do these updates is I have them on the screen here. My computer is here if I'm looking away, and I'm just going to put these articles up and we're going to talk about them. And I want to get to the most important one, or one of the most important ones, and that's the cause of death. We're going to refer to, I believe it's People Magazine article for this. So let's go ahead and put that title up on the screen and let's get into it. Okay, so on the screen you're going to see this. It says cause of death revealed for Madeline Soto, 13, whose mother's boyfriend is accused of emming and taking her life. Then it says under that, Stephen Stearns was charged with the big M weeks after Soto disappeared on her way to school per police. This is August 28th, 2024. Let's go ahead on and get into that article. Now here on the screen you will see a picture of Madeline, bless her heart, and let's just go through some of the highlights of this piece. So it says, authorities have released the cause of death for the 13-year-old Madeline Soto, and it says that she was found in the wooded area March 1st, days after she was reported missing. And then the last thing here says the medical examiner has now ruled the manner of her death as homicide and determined she died as a result of strangulation. Now, we kind of had that idea going on, and some of the articles we're going to get into here in a little bit go a little bit deeper into that. But there's that. I guess one of my questions, that I ponder is, was she conscious for this? Or had he given her something that made her pass out? He had to make the decision, whatever took place, of she can't live through this night, right? Because I think that's kind of the routine is with him. He would drug her basically, right? Well, again, we'll get into some of that here in a minute. And in fact, speaking on that note, let's just go ahead and get into the different articles here. So on the second one here, you're going to see the title here, police reports hint at Madeline Soto's cause of death, her alleged killers concerning search history. So let's look into this, because this kind of goes into what I'm talking about. Okay, if you just jump down the second paragraph, here, it says part of the report includes details of Google searches allegedly done by Stearns, which included searches for sevoflurane, described as volatile anesthetic and commonly used in surgeries. The report notes it can induce hypnosis and amnesia and cause a person to be unable to move their muscles. Absolutely makes me shudder to think. Okay, then it says, third paragraph down, according to detectives, Stearns searched the item while using the terms show up in drug test. A detective noted this oddity, saying they didn't know why Stearns would use these terms when he wasn't attempting to get a job or didn't have any children that were having surgery. Further down, now this is some information that has kind of been out there already, but it says investigators say they also found pictures and videos on Stearns' phone that showed him SAing Madeline for years. In the new report, police say Madeline appeared to be sleeping in many of those images. So this is what I'm talking about. Let's just pause here for a second. You can you can start adding up 1+1, right? Okay. Now, whether it was specifically this drug or not, you get the vibe, okay? He was probably giving her something and knocking her out. We already know that Jen was like, yeah, going up there, I need to sleep well or whatever. Like, who knows what the other excuses were along the way. And then he was probably knocking her out and doing God knows what, recording it, maybe selling it. Who knows what he was doing, A, with her, and B, with those images and videos and things of this nature that he was taking of her, right? I think I can't, okay? Okay, let's look at this last little snippet here from the article, and it says, additionally, the report also reveals Madeline's likely cause of death. Now, this was beforehand, but it goes into a little bit more detail here. It says, according to the medical examiner, it appeared the hyoid bone in Madeline's neck had been broken, saying the cause of death was strangulation and the manner of death was homicide. So this just gives a little bit more detail into how they maybe came up with that and whatnot, and sadly, the fate that she met at the hands of Stearns, allegedly, right? He hasn't been convicted yet, but I mean, come on, right? Okay, now let's get into this next article, and this is going to be on the note of the culpability of Jen. Jen is the mother, Jennifer Soto. Depending on when this comes out, you probably already watched my video on her interview. We did a live chat on it. A lot of people are divided on this part here, but let's just see what the cops are kind of saying. So, article says here, the title, Madeline Soto's mom may have known about the alleged abuse, said S stuff was not evil, new documents. And this was out August 23rd, actually. So let's go ahead and get a little bit deeper into this. So it says here at the top, when a detective questioned her about why she prioritizes Stearns over her daughter, at one point she referred to the S stuff as not evil. That's according to new documents and evidence from the sheriff's office early on in the search for the missing teenager. Now, going down further, it appeared to me that she had already accepted the victimization that was happening, and her emotion appeared fictitious, the detective wrote in the report. Detectives also questioned Jennifer about Madeline and Stearns' relationship. Now, going further, it doesn't sound like you ever had any concerns about Stefan. You know him really well. You've never seen anything wrong with Madeline and him together, right? The detective said. Jennifer said that at first she didn't trust Stearns with her daughter because she wouldn't trust any man, but over the years she changed her tune. We'll come back to that. Okay, let's go on to the next clip here. I was very vigilant for the first few years of how he would interact with her, and I would question if anything was weird. But nothing was truly weird, she said. Jennifer also told detectives that Madeline and Stearns would often sleep together in her bed, and other times would sleep alone and unsupervised in a separate bedroom. She said the night that she reported Madeline as missing, she wanted a good night's sleep and slept in her bedroom, but asked Stearns and Madeline to sleep in the guest room together. Then it goes further. This is despite the home having enough space for all three people to sleep in different rooms, detectives noted. Now let's go on to the next clip. It says, recorded interviews with Stearns' father show him questioning how trustworthy his own son is. This is very similar to the Wade Wilson case that just went on, where the father had to turn his own son in, right? The biological father. Let's keep going. Because it says something's going on. He spent a lifetime lying to us, and it's just never gotten better, Stearns' father, a former OCSO deputy, told detectives. Before I left the house the other night, I turned to my wife and I said, do we really know Stefan? Can we honestly say we really know him, his father said? But Jennifer trusted Stearns enough to let him sleep in the same bed with her daughter. Of course it would weird anyone out, a little girl sleeping with a man that's not her dad. It sounds weird, she said in a recorded interview with detectives. I trusted him enough to let it happen. The record Fox's 35's Maria Edinger reviewed also revealed that Madeline's teachers and peers knew something was wrong. They just didn't know what. Let's keep going. Let's go to the next page. Police reports reveal that a counselor told detectives Madeline would have sleepy days, okay, where she would come in, put her head down, and do nothing. And he suspected she may have been depressed. Another counselor noted that Madeline had talked about Stearns before, saying he was weird and made her uncomfortable, and said her grades improved after December, which is when he left the home. Pause on all that information right there, y'all. Let's start from the last thing and go backwards. This goes 100% into the dynamic of she's coming to school, she's sleepy, she's acting weird, and her grades improve when Stefan leaves, right? Because remember how in the interview they were asking about her behavior and whatnot, and Jen said a couple of things, and it's like, well, of course she's going to act a certain way. Look at what the evidence shows what's going on with her. You know, she's a kid, she's a little girl when all this is going on, right? She doesn't know how to process that. Who does, okay? Really, who would, right? So I think from the sounds of it, she was keeping it together pretty damn good. You know what I'm saying? Like, given the essay that she was subjected to. So the fact that she's coming in, I mean, I can't imagine carrying that on my shoulders and going to school and that secret and all the stuff, right? So yes, the teacher is clearly onto something here. Now let's back up a little bit in the article, okay? So then the father, his father talking about, do we really know him? You know, this and the other. You know, a parent knows. A mother and a father, especially a mother's intuition and all that plays, right? If their own parents are saying, this something's not right with their kid, believe them, okay? Now, let's get into the whole thing with Jen and whatnot. Here's one thing that came to my mind as I'm reading through these articles, these clips here, is where Jen's like, I trusted him and blah, 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 blah. Jen has to stand by that statement, because to not stand by that statement is to admit wrongdoing, is to admit super poor choices, right? So in this moment, if she sits here and says, yeah, it was a bad thing for me to let Madeline sleep in the bed with him. You see what I'm saying? So probably, and again, I am no psychologist, I'm none of this stuff. It's just my, sofa opinion, or the bed, not the sofa opinion. You know what I'm saying, good Lord. Anyways, it's almost like you have to buckle down on it to be able to put your head down at night. You know what I mean? So that's kind of the vibe I'm getting here. Now, also, where she says at first, she was very vigilant or whatever. And then over the years, really there's nothing weird going on. So, and not like in her defense, but kind of in her defense, men like Stefan will victimize certain people that they know they can get in with. I will always revert back to this other case when talking about this case, and that's abducted in plain sight. And if you look at the neighbor and what other people, and again, this is just based on if you know what I'm talking about, this documentary case, people who interacted with the abuser in that case, many people were like, oh, I saw right away that absolutely not. This man is not to be near my family. He sought out a family that didn't raise those red flags, that had things going on, that he was like, oh, here they go. I can victimize everyone in this family and pit them all against each other and all this. So what I'm trying to say is, a lot of times people like Stefan will search somebody out. So probably, we'll never know really, right? Part of his thing with Jen was access to Madeline. It could have been the only reason why he was with her, right? And so that's probably a huge part of the relationship, or it just worked out the way, who knows, okay? But definitely Jen was his access to Madeline. The fact that Jen was serving her up to him, hey, y'all go sleep in the upstairs guest room or whatever. She says in here, let me find it again real quick. So again, if we go back down here towards the bottom, next to that paragraph, she says, of course it would weird anyone out, a little girl sleeping with a man that's not her dad. It sounds weird, she said in a recorded interview with detectives. I trusted him enough to let it happen. Yeah, it does sound weird, right? That's the first thing that everybody heard was, what? You know what I'm saying? And again, you go back to the first page where the detective's like, we think she's already kind of accepted the victimization. That's what I'm talking about, the blind eye, the this, that, whatever. All that going on, which has so many people in an uproar, right? Because obviously, look at what happened, right? However she arrived at that decision, this is the outcome. Madeline lost her life to him. Is this to say that he was manipulating the whole situation, probably to be as less weird as he could? Again, if you polled 10 people and asked them in these situations, would you let your boyfriend sleep with your daughter in a bed in a different room than you? Let's see how many people say yes. You see what I'm saying? Someone like Stefan is probably good at searching out the ones that were like, if he was cool or whatever, bam, done. I want to date you. That's how he's thinking, right? You're giving it, you are his access to his next victim. And that's what they do. They search these people out. Now, let's go on to the last couple of little things here. Now, we're just going to put up a couple of headlines of the last couple of things, and this is just in relation to will there be charges. And as you can see, this first one, it says Madeline Soto case. Police have no plans to charge Jennifer Soto, sources say. Let's just go on to the next one here. Same thing, Orange County, Florida. The Kissimmee Police Department has no plans to file charges against Jennifer Soto, the mother of Madeline. So you'll just see at the very bottom of that, it says sources told Channel 9's Shannon Butler that Jennifer Soto has done nothing criminal so far, so she will not face charges. And this is the part that has a lot of people really all up in it, really upset. You know, and I'm looking at comments in the live chat and in other places where I go and whatnot, you know, there's this thing of like, okay, even if it's almost like the neglectful, or like, you know, when you are essentially neglectful to your child, like even if it's not intentional or whatever, and they end up in a situation like this. Time will tell. Now, I always end up bringing this case up again. I already did in this video once, but in Abducted with Plain Sight, no charges were ever brought against that family. Now, when they did try and press charges at certain points, the family neglected to and didn't want to at a certain time. So that was their own thing. The investigators were very frustrated. And oftentimes I think it's something like this, and I too, I mean, I don't know how the law works on things like this, right? So, I mean, these are literally just, you know, me on the sidelines making opinions and whatnot. To me, something like this, where officers are saying it seems like she knew, it seems like, I mean, you can watch this stuff, it looks like she's covering up or whatever. Even if she was in some way, fashion, like a victim of his, even through manipulation or whatever, the fact that she was allowing this to go on, it's surprising that there isn't like a, you know, some kind of like, well, because of your neglectfulness, almost like this: parent leaves child in hot car, child dies. It's almost how my mind equates it, right? Is mom turns blind eye, sends daughter to sleep in man's room, daughter ends up dead. That kind of a thing. Now again, I'm no lawyer, okay? And this is me being judgmental from this, well, you know, from here, right? So I'm 100% take that into consideration here, okay? I'm not trying to sound like I know the law and all this. I'm speaking on authority with that. It's just, you know, from a non-law perspective, like from a sideline perspective, I'm like, isn't there some kind of law against this? Now, one thing I do wonder is if it's almost like where the cops go to her and are like, look, girl, we're gonna hit you with A, B, and C unless you testify. If you don't work with us, oh, we're gonna find some charges. I almost wonder if it's something like that. Like if they could do that. It's almost like an exchange of like, not immunity, but something along those lines. So again, I don't know. If you are of the law or lawyer, whatever, that kind of stuff, you know how this stuff works, drop in the comments, right? Because this part of this case fascinates me. Again, it was almost the same thing with that situation with Abducted in Plain Sight of, well, what happens when your neighbor abducts your child and then you let them continue to do this stuff? Like, you can't get in trouble for that? You know, that's not some kind of like abuse against your child, right? I mean, I don't know. So we will see. I think more and more information that comes out, it's not going to look good for Jen. Obviously not good for Stefan. He's right where he belongs, right? Honestly surprised the man's lived this long, even in county jail, okay? This was insanely heinous what he did to this little girl, okay? And Jen, I don't know what to say. I mean, I don't know what to say, okay? I'm literally without words. The things that I've heard come out of her mouth, I'm in shock. If she's also somehow been so manipulated and victimized by him, I can't imagine waking up from that and then realizing, oh my God, my daughter. You know what I'm saying? So there are multiple things go through my mind, but that's it for today. We will continue following this. More and more stuff keeps coming out on this case and movement on it. So we'll keep our eye on it, and that's it. I do appreciate you watching. Drop some sofas off in the comment section for myself and Rosco in spirit to hang out and talk with you about this case and all the other stuff we do talk about here at the Sofa Squad. And until we meander our way down there, I'll see y'all soon. I just wanted to say thank you again for watching the whole video, and also thank you for being part of the Sofa Squad. Special thanks to all the Patreon members, channel members from both of my channels, everybody who likes, shares, subscribes, comments in the comment sections. It helps the channel out so much. Now, don't forget, I do have that other channel, the podcast channel. That's where we go live, we hang out, we talk. We have kind of sort of a schedule, but just be sure and check it out. I'll put it up here on the screen. Also, if you're looking for merch, be sure to check out my Teespring store. I'll put that up here. And then, like I said in the beginning of the video, if you want to follow me and Rosco on the Instagram, go on, check it out. It's right here on the screen again. But once again, thank you very much. I really appreciate you being part of the Sofa Squad, and I'll see you in the next video.